everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
All right, everybody, here we go. Another thing straight out of Build, the announcement of SQL Server 2025. Today, we're going to install it. I'm going to walk you through the installer. I'm going to show you some of the options. We're not going to do a super deep cut just yet. We will do that later. A couple weeks ago, I had a video on SQL Server mirroring, and I told you that I was going to do one on SQL Server 2025 mirroring. Before I did that, I needed to set up and install SQL Server 2025, so we should probably walk through it as well, because there's some important things for us to be able to consider, especially if we want to mirror it to Fabric. One of those key things is going to be Arc. We have to have an Arc-enabled SQL Server for the Entra ID authentication to be able to communicate with Microsoft Fabric. The underlying mechanism is also different. For SQL Server 2016 to 2022, we have to enable CDC. But SQL Server 2025 uses a technology called change tracking, which is exactly what we have in Azure for Azure SQL Database and also Azure SQL Managed Instance. There are a lot of amazing things about 2025, and we're going to get to those. But I don't want to just talk to you about the installation and some of the great new things that you'll even see on the screen as we configure this and set this up. I want to show you. So let's go take a look at it together. Here we are in Azure. This is a VM I've actually provisioned. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start out on the info page. Link to this in the description of the video. You got to come fill this out to be able to get 2025 CTP2. Once you do that, this is the page you get. This is the download page. And I'm going to go ahead and get the 64-bit edition. Remember, CTP2, Community Technology Preview. That's what CTP stands for. We're going to go ahead and we're going to execute this, and I'm going to download the media. I'm going to ask for an ISO, so that way I can just go ahead and attach this as a drive and do an installation as if it's a CD. I'm going to fast forward, and you're going to see this a lot through all the different windows that I possibly can where you just be waiting for things to download. This took about 25 minutes to 30 minutes in total, so not bad from an installation stand time, but I didn't want to make you watch a loading screen just go and go and go. We execute the software in the ISO, it attaches as a drive. One thing to keep in mind, we've got all this planning information. If you're looking for planning assets, this is a great place to look at. We've got documentation, but we've also got apps to be able to scan your existing SQL Server. We're going to installation and new standalone installation. You could add features to an existing SQL instance. We don't have one on this. This is a Greenfield 2022 Data Center Edition. Now, right away, what I want you to see is this. Boom. This is a big one. A little bit of SQL magic right here. Enterprise and Standard Developer Edition. For years, we have people who use Standard Edition, especially if you're a third-party COTS complete off-the-shelf product kind of company, because what you're looking for is to be able to not cost your customers a lot of money to use your software. So this Standard Edition license, big deal. Okay, so we go ahead and we get the product updates. We make sure everything's good to go. We look at the installation rules. Here's the big thing, Azure extension. So I need to make sure this Azure Arc extension is enabled. Now, if you wanted to use a service principal, let's just walk through this real quick. I'm going to go over to my Entra ID, and then I'm going to go to app registrations. I don't know why we don't call this service principals, but we don't. App registrations. And then we're going to say, here's a new registration. I'm going to click that. I'm going to create a service principal, and I'm going to name it something very simple so I know how to use it. SQL-Server-2025, because I'm going to want to use this for my SQL 2025 instances. I don't have to fill out anything else. I'm using this within my single tenant. I'm going to need my application ID and also my directory or my tenant ID. And then we need a secret. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to create a secret. And again, I want to name this exactly what it is, SQL Server 2025-01. Then I'm going to get the secret value. And now that I've got all this information, I can go back over and I could fill this out. Now I can do this one of two ways. I could use my Azure login for this, or I could use a service principal. Service principal is the way you're going to do it in the enterprise. We put in the Azure Service Principal ID, which is the account ID, the Service Principal secret, and also our tenant ID. Also remember, I can use my login to be able to do this if I have the rights to. Now, once we're past that, I'm going to go ahead and click Next. I'm going to select my features. I want my database engine. I want SQL Server replication. Maybe I want to play around with it. I want full text and semantic extractions for search, and I want polybase. I'm good with everything else. I don't need any of these other features or functions for right now. I'm going to click Next. I'm going to leave this as a default instance. It's the first instance. I could make it a named instance, but we're going to go with the default instance. Now, one thing I am going to use is I'm going to use a service principal. If we were in a domain, I would have a domain admin, or I would have a group create a service principal for me to be able to use. Since this is just a local machine, non-domain joined, I'm going to create a user and I'm going to add it to the admin group. S-SQL Server. This is going to be the service that is running my SQL Server account. That way it's on my admin Windows group and it's got full permissions. I set my password, full name is SQL Server, description, this is the SQL Service account. I want the user not to change the password, and I want to disable the changing of the password at the first login. I add it to my admin groups. I'm good to go to be able to use this. Now, when I click next, we're going to come into some configuration options. I'm going to accept the default ports for Polybase, but right here on the service accounts, this is where I'm going to use that. I'm going to set my SQL Service account to be my SQL agent, my database engine, my Polybase. I'm going to hurry up and just copy through here. And I'm going to also set the password for it as well. Anything that I can use this service account for, I want to use this. Grant perform valiant maintenance tasks. This is a big deal. This helps us skip the zeroing out of the data file whenever we want to grow. And we want that in place. Now for me, I'm going to click mix mode, and I'll tell you why. I have had instances before where something went wrong in an installation and I locked myself out of an instance. So not only am I going to add the current user as an admin, I'm going to at least temporarily enable the SA and a password so I don't get locked out. My data directories, I want to have data directories. I've got them broken up via different drives. I got an M drive for my data. I'm going to use that, L for logs, T for backups. There we go, a little bit of magic, fast forwarding. Now I'm on an Azure VM, and I am going to voice a bit of a complaint. One of the things I would like to do, I'd like to be able to use the D temporary storage. That's what it's built for. It's ridiculously fast. It'd be great for TempDB, and I do want to offload it. Notice I'm changing the log initialization size to 1024. Here's the problem. It's a root drive. And if I create a folder in it, the folder is going to get deleted, and I'm going to, then TempDB won't start up because it can't find the folder. So what have I got to do? I've got to use another drive. Now I'm going to use my M drive because I didn't think about this beforehand. I didn't make a specific TempDB drive. On a busy system though, you want a TempDB drive. You may even want a separate TempDB log file, so you're not putting this in with your logs. I'm going to mix this in with my logs and my data files. So M for data, L for logs. I want my auto growth to be 1024. I want to grow to gig at a time. Max stop. It's set for 8. That's all the CPUs I have in this box. I'm going to set it to half that. I'm going to set it to 4. So that way I can tune this over time. I can look at what the SQL Server actually needs, but at least initially I'm going half. I do love that this is here now. It didn't used to be. The recommended memory based off the amount of memory in the VM. I am going to accept this. Now after this, I've set up everything that I need to. I'm going to click next. We're going to go through the feature configuration rules. I'm going to skip the installer. You're going to see this is going to go by really, really fast because I'm going to click this. I didn't want to make you wait. This is the longest thing you're waiting for. Everything succeeds. We minimize. Now I need a tool. I need to be able to connect to it. I'm going to open up my install media. I'm going to click Install Management Studio. It's going to take me to this link. You want to go under step 2. That's where the that's where the download is for SQL Server Management Studio 21. And this is a great tool. Aaron Stellato and team did a fantastic job with this. So we download the installer, we execute it and get it going. Again, fast forwarding a little. I want my Copilot in SSMS. I want my hybrid migration. I'm going to take code tools and bids just in case I need it to replicate something, but I'm mostly excited about Copilot. We'll get to that eventually. Don't worry. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fast forward again through this installer because there's no point in making you watch a screen just go by for minutes. Once this is done installing, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to open up SSMS. I'm not going to configure an account, but it is nice that we can align this with Microsoft and GitHub. I don't have anything to import. I want to trust my server certificate, and then I can connect. There we have it. We have SQL Server 2025 installed. We have SSMS 21 installed. We're able to connect to it. Let's do a quick select add version. I think this is the test that we all have to do the second that SQL Server is actually set up. And let's see it come back. It's going to have operating details as well as this. And there we are, the SQL Server 2025 CTP 2.0 Community Technology Preview 2. And we've got it up and running. Okay, so we're going to be doing more with this in the weeks and months to come. Not to mention, we're going to be mirroring Fabric very soon using SQL Server 2025. So sound off. I want to hear from you. Are you excited about SQL Server 2025? Maybe you're in the preview program. Maybe you're kicking the tires with it. Lots of wonderful things for this. And if there's anything you're excited about, please let me know down in the comments. And I hope to have Bob Ward on soon to be able to talk about this. Bob is just an amazing human being. And goodness knows, Bob loves SQL probably just about as much as the Texas Ranger. I think that's a fair statement. I'll have to check that out with him. All right. Thank you so much for joining us on Tales from the Field. As always, be good to one another out there. Bye, everybody.
Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do.